Your Olympic hero has arrived. It's true, it's true.
You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another Raw review. Today, I'll be reviewing 28 Years Later. Now, I saw this earlier today, technically yesterday, because it's 3:24 in the morning at the time I'm recording this. Nevertheless, I saw it in the evening, so, it's been a fat minute. But I am a fan of 28 Days Later. It's my favorite zombie movie of all time. And 28 Weeks Later was always a fun sequel that is definitely flawed, and I don't like it as much as 28 Days Later, but I do still really like it. So, naturally, for all of the years that there has been planned a 28 Months Later, I've always been looking forward to it. Prior to when I became very cynical and stopped liking things that... stopped wanting things that I like to come back, because, again, there's a lot of problems when things that I like come back, typically. However, I was invited by my brother. He's like, hey, we're going to go see this movie. You want to come see it? And I'm like, sure, why the hell not? I had nothing else to do. It was a Saturday, right? So we went and we saw it, and I had heard mixed things going into it. I had heard some good things. I had heard some bad things. But largely, I was mostly blind. But when I went in and we saw it, I was very pleasantly surprised. Because watching the first act, all the stuff where they go to the mainland, because in this movie, it's just the UK that has the zombie problem now. The continental Europe has dealt with it, and then they just quarantined off the UK and just said, you're on your own. Everyone there's quarantined off. So this movie takes place on a Scottish isle, partially, that has a causeway that connects to the mainland of the UK, right? The main character is a kid from this Scottish causeway, or causeway. He's not from the causeway. He's not from the little thing in the middle of the ocean, no. He's from the Scottish Isle, and he's 12, so his dad's taking him to get his first zombie kill, right? To get his first kill from the rage virus infected, right? Now, they did add 2 new zombie types in this. There's these fat, slow ones now that often crawl, although I do think they can walk to a degree, but not for great lengths or distances. And then there's the alpha zombie. They actually use the word zombie in this movie, too. Like, people could argue, right, 28 Days Later, it's a rage virus that makes people angry and just instantly attack you, right? And, like, 1 drop of blood getting in your system is enough to turn you, which is one of the things that's fucking terrifying about the zombies in this franchise, right? But anyway, the alphas are like fucking 8 feet tall, fucking jacked, and take a shitload to put down. They have super strength. And then the fat, slow ones are obviously way less of a threat. So it was interesting to have a little bit of variety. They do still have the iconic, fast-running ones that the franchise is known for, right? But anyway... So they go to get the kid his first kill, and then they go to the mainland often to get supplies and such. There will be spoilers ahead in this review, probably, so just be prepared for that. But going in, I was very skeptical, because, again, a lot of modern movies suck dick, and I'm tired of them just milking franchises. But... Interestingly, the movie also opens with a different character named Jimmy, not to be confused with Jim from the first movie, a completely different character. Not only is there a character named Jimmy in this movie, who doesn't come back again until the end, but he's a kid in the beginning of the movie. There's a character also named Jamie, who's the dad of the kid who's the main character, and then, of course, obviously Jim from the first movie. So, could be kind of confusing with the naming conventions there, although apparently Jimmy leads a cult that will be in the sequel, because there will be a sequel to this one. And apparently he was inspired by Jimmy Savile, which is crazy to me, because Jimmy Savile was like... First off, he was like a celebrity in the UK that had all these connections to a bunch of like elites and the royal family and shit, but also like it came out after he died that he ran like a notorious pedophile ring. So it's interesting that they have a character based on Jimmy Savile in this. But nevertheless, I don't know how based on it, but when I read that on Wikipedia, I'm like, I could see it with the way his hair and the way he dressed. Yeah, I could kind of see it. And apparently, like I said, he's the leader of a cult, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And again, I don't know how based on it is, because I doubt they're going to go down that route with Jimmy Savile, right? Anyway, getting off topic, because that character's actually pretty minor in this movie. He's a kid in the first one, or in the beginning, and then we see him come back and save the life of the main kid at the end of the movie. But there's also a doctor character who is interesting because he's like building a tower out of skulls, and he also like refers to humans and infected as similar. Like, I thought they were gonna go down the route like in The Walking Dead, where there's those people who don't want to kill zombies because zombies are people too. No, they're not. They didn't do any of that. So that's that. They had a little bit of dialogue with that kind of thing. And they do drug this alpha that they call Samson, who I'm sure will be a main antagonist in the sequel. But nevertheless, with this movie, the first act watching it, I got went off on a tangent here. And again, this is a raw review, so none of this is getting edited. But they go and they, tradition, get your first kill, and then they head back. Things go to shit. They get swarmed by a bunch of zombies, and then they get chased by an alpha, which eventually gets taken down on the causeway by the town. But the kid also noticed a fire off in the distance, and he was asking the dad about it. And the dad also was, cheating on his wife, and also, has been very, secretive with stuff with the kid, the fire off in the distance was apparently a doctor he didn't want the kid to know about. Because the doctor, skinned people's bodies when they died and made a skull tower. Which, is odd. He's a good guy from what it looks like. But it is still pretty odd behavior when you think about it. To fucking, throw a skull in a furnace, or throw a head in a furnace, to burn it and then rip the skin off and put it in a tower. That's, not exactly normal behavior, but he does appear to be a nice guy, so... and then it turns out the mom had cancer, and then she later on, the doctor actually puts her down, because he's like, some death is better than others. Anyway, the first act, I was like, okay, this is great, I hope that the rest doesn't suck, because I'm like, oh, is it just going to be the first act that's good? And then after they get back... The dad's, romanticizing, what the kid did, making him into a hero, saying, yeah, he's a giant slayer, right? He's, he just kept firing, which, granted, I thought that was kind of cool, the way the dad was, hyping the kid up, even though the kid missed, every shot he took at the moving targets. He's like, he kept firing, I've seen adults stop firing. The dad was actually a really good character. And, I'm glad to see he is listed on the cast list in the sequel. Because after that first act, he's not really in a ton of the movie. Anyway, then the kid, he finds out about the doctor, so he takes his mom, who's got, confusion and mental problems and doesn't really know where she is. I thought they were going to go for, dementia or something. No, it's cancer. She's got cancer that's metastasized. So they take her down, he takes her down, and then, that's when they meet the doctor. They get chased by the Alpha, which again is nicknamed Samson by the doctor. Interestingly, they encounter a pregnant zombie, which gives birth to a non-infected baby. Because I guess apparently placenta protected it from the infection. Which led to a really weird fucking line where the doctor said the magic of the placenta. Which I thought was a fucking stupid line. And I have seen some people online take issue with that too. I don't think that was enough to cause any sort of concern or issue with it. It was definitely weird as a line, and the pregnant zombie was a strange concept. I'm guessing that maybe only alphas can breed. That's kind of what I'm going with theory-wise. Especially since Samson seemed pretty pissed that they had killed the other one. I hope they don't go full-on I Am Legend where they try to make you sympathize with it. I don't think they're going to, because Samson's just fucking ripping heads off like fucking Sub-Zero. It's fucking cool, by the way. He literally does, the Sub-Zero fatality where he rips off the head and the spine comes out with it. There's also this army guy who's, Swedish. Or he's a Navy guy, sorry. He's from the Swedish Navy who got stranded on the UK mainland, which... again, is quarantined off. And he's the one who gets ripped Sub-Zero style, which is why I thought of him. He was a pretty good character, though. Overall, it was a really good zombie movie, and tonally, I actually think it fits in more with the first movie than the second movie did. It is the original director as well, so that I guess that does help, because, again, 28 Weeks Later, I do feel like is somewhat of a flawed sequel, although I do still really like 28 Weeks Later. I think 28 Years Later is better than 28 Weeks Later, but nowhere near as good as 28 Days Later. Or I shouldn't say nowhere near, because I actually really liked this movie, hence why I'm doing a raw review instead of just waiting for movie recap with it. I absolutely loved this movie. I thought it was great. Again, going in, I had heard people say that it was a mixed bag or that it was hard to follow, but I did not find that to be the case. I guess the one thing that was a little disappointing is nowhere in the movie did it contain the theme song, In the House in a Heartbeat, which was in the first two movies, which is like the most iconic theme from this series. And in fact, I thought there was some really cool editing stuff where they'd show these flashes of like these zombies with like this red filter like attacking people and stuff. Again, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great zombie movie and a great follow-up to 28 Days and 28 Weeks. So, nevertheless, I quite enjoyed it, and I would recommend checking it out if you like 28 Days Later, because it is a good follow-up to that. And apparently Jim is going to be in the sequel, so I hope they don't fuck anything up with that, because I did kind of like the ambiguity in the first movie, that Jim, like, you don't know what happened to him and his group after, and there's no confirmation as to whether the other two characters that were with him, I can't remember their names. I feel like the chick's name is like Sabine or something, but I also feel like I'm mixing her together with the chick from Mr. Bean's Holiday, so I'm not 100% sure. I could look it up. I could have done my due diligence and done that before the review, but fuck it, who cares? Point is, there's no confirmation as to whether or not they're in the next movie, as far as I can tell, which I hope that they are, because I would hate for them to just be killed off-screen. There's ways to do that correctly. I know, for instance, Alien 3, I was okay, actually, with the fact that the little girl was killed off-screen, because I actually prefer really nuclear take here. I like Alien 3 better than Aliens, because Alien 3 goes back to kind of that horror feel of Alien, which I fucking love. Like, Alien should have just been a one and done. I don't think it needed to be a franchise, and I think none of the sequels really recaptured. I think Aliens is the most overrated entry in the franchise. But Alien 3, I think, is the most underrated. And then everything after that's kind of crap. Like, honestly, like, the rest of them are shit. Like, fucking Prometheus is bad. I used to give it credit. I used to like it when I first saw it, but it's fucking bad. Alien Covenant's bad. I didn't bother seeing Romulus. The Alien vs. Predator movies are fun popcorn. Anyway, I am going off on so many tangents. This is about 28 Years Later, which I thought was a really good movie, and I think you should check out. Have a good one. Toodles.
You take forever to say nothing.
What are you doing? Subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye.